Hey party people, welcome back to the Velvet Lounge. And this time we have another haul video for you. These are items that I sold on eBay in our Antiques Collectibles and Oddity account. As you know, we do have a standard account as well, which we sell more normal things in. In this account, or those things are not only more normal, they're more general. There may be brand new items there. Sometimes just to boost up this account, we'll sell some of those items in this account as well. But as you'll see, as you know, and as you'll see, and as you may have seen if you looked us up, there's not a lot of standard things in this account. In this account, I'll also throw some books in there because we have some book collectors that like to collect strange topics, or just once again to boost the numbers up and use up our listings that are part of our subscription for this particular eBay store. So that's why, because there was someone on Facebook that asked me, like, why do I not show our standard account? And it's because things are boring there. It's like, if I find a brand new set of curtains, but they're by Crate and Barrel, there's really nothing in there that's that interesting. Honestly, it's boring, and it's my least, I only have two accounts, but it's my least favorite. But it makes a really nice, healthy profit, and it's super easy. So yeah, that account isn't going away, but this is the account that we will always feature on YouTube because it has the more interesting things in it. And let's start with some information. So today I'm going to give you more informational things about how to find things that you can turn over for a profit, that either, honestly, tons of people will overlook these items. If not hundreds and thousands of people will overlook them if you find them at a flea market, because they're just looking for giant, fantabulous things, which could, either bring a profit. Unfortunately, most of them don't. Like, size in that one particular case really does not matter. But one of the tools that I use when I'm trying to figure out what something is, because I do pick up so many things where I create a bundle, or I'll pick up a box lot, or if I go to an estate sale, tag sale, flea market, I will try to bundle, like I said, a bunch of stuff together in a box and, pay one low price for everything. So this tool that you see in the picture, this actually is a tool. I didn't know what it was. I was like, is this like a brass knuckle thing? Or that would be really wild and crazy. I had no idea what it was. But I have a friend in the business who some years ago gave me 5 or 6 What's It books. And you guys have heard me talk about looking things up in my What's It books. As you can see, it's a real thing, because all we do is real here. And it is Yankee's Book of What's It. And it actually will ask you, how many can you identify? So it's almost sort of like a game, but not really. It's actually a different way of creating a reference book, which I really appreciate. And in the book, what it will do is ask you, do you know what this is? And this could be anything. Let me fix this first. So, for example, everything that you see a check mark or a red mark for, folded pages. This book is falling apart because that's how often I use it, because in New England, we have a lot of farms that are defunct. They're just not in business, or the families held on to the farms because they, only wanted a few cows, goats, sheep, whatever. And so I will go to these, sales for them. And, I will pick up a bunch of things. I'll have no idea what they are, pay $5 or $10 for 30, 40 items. And usually I pick up small items. As you know, I don't really like dealing with super large things. And I will commonly reference the 4 or 5 books that I have, the What's It books, to try to find out what these things are. Like the item that you see with the black check mark, that's something that I have maybe 7 or 8 of, maybe even more. I will be listing those for sale soon. And I was thankful I could find it in this book because I had no idea what these things were. So one of the items that the book came in hand, or the manual, it's a paperback book, but came in handy for was this item that you see that we had listed for sale. And this item is I'm just going to read you the title that I created, but Rare Antique Ornate Thayer's Household and Farm Combination Tool with Patent, because this does, it's in this thumbnail, so I'm not going to click on the thumbnails because it'll mess up all my pictures. But in this thumbnail, the name of the company was almost a little stronger than faintly stamped into the tool, as well as a patent number and date. So thankfully those were there because I was able to find information a little bit quicker on this in my books by looking at the pictures, by looking in the index, by name, because usually that's where I'll start with these books. I will not pick up a book and start looking at pictures. I usually, if I have enough information, will start with the index or the table of contents. It depends on how the book is put together. And that's another thing as far as tools of the trade. If you're dealing in antiques, collectibles, uniques, or oddity items, you need to have reference books. I have a cabinet with lots of reference books from a variety of subjects that, usually interest me, as well as general references, which will have a little bit of everything in it, as well as old magazines from antique guilds back in the day that used to have like people who would join a tools guild or something like that. And that's actually a real thing because I have maybe 30 of those magazines or newsletters from back then, and they show pictures, they have descriptions, you can find usually patent information, a lot of things in there. So sometimes when we sell our items, we will actually put a copy of that with the item that when we sell it. And that's what this picture is right here. So that's the paperwork that we also sent to the person, because I think it's really good to sort of like complete the circle, and versus just sending them an item. If you do have that little bit of extra information, it does add some more value to the item that you're selling, especially in an auction environment. And yes, I am using an old military dagger as my pointer today. And it is heavy. That's why I'm giggling, because it's really weird how heavy it is in the handle. But this item, it was part of a box lot from a farm sale that a lady and her husband were moving to Florida, so they just wanted everything gone. They allowed everyone to fill a box. People were going after the huge, heavy items. I simply went for the small, compact items, and items either I knew what they were and I knew they had good value, or I had absolutely no clue what they were, and that's what I went for. And this was one of those items. From tip to the bottom, this probably measures, I'm going to say 8 inches, and then probably across approximately 7 inches, maybe 6.5. So it's not a huge item, but it's solid and it definitely has weight to it. Like you could injure someone if you hit them with this. And I actually thought that, I was like, is this like a brass knuckle thing? Or I had no idea what it was. But it's actually a kitchen implement and a farm implement that you could cook on and do a lot of other things with it. Pick things up, which is why it has the hooks. You could hang things from it, etc. use this for like punching, tenderizing meat or something, which is really weird. But out of, a $5 box lot, this item sold for $129.99 plus $9.95 for shipping and handling. And the way I shipped this was I used the priority mail envelope and received the discount for purchasing my postage through eBay. So, there was a profit on that. And what I did is I put it inside of a box with all the appropriate bubble wrap and everything else. I put it inside of a plastic bag just in case anything got wet. We didn't want it to be rustier. And I stuff that right into the flat rate envelope. So remember, you can put a box inside of a priority mail envelope. As long as it fits, it ships. And it's a lot more professional, and it gets there a lot safer than just throwing something into an envelope with a little bit of bubble wrap or paper or whatever. I hate when people do a poor job at packaging things. It shows me that they really don't care, and I would never buy from them again. And usually I end up getting a refund from those people because the item doesn't arrive safe. This is a very interesting story as well. It's as you can see, a $5 bill with Abraham Lincoln on it. It is a Series A. I just hit my camera, haha. It's a Series A. And what you can't see, and I don't know if I can get a closer close-up on it, is the series date, which I can't really get a really good close-up on it, is 1934. So imagine you are at Dunkin' Donuts and you receive your change back, and there's an old wrinkly bill, or $5 bill in there, and I'm looking at it like, wait, you gave me all this kind of clean money, and I have this wrinkly $5 bill. So I look at it, I immediately notice the date and the series number, and I know that when I get home, I'm going to list it on eBay just to see what happens. And the worst case scenario, someone would offer me $5 for it instead of paying me more for it, and I would be fine with that. It would be a bit of a hassle, but hey, I would make a little profit on the shipping and handling charge. So this $5 bill I listed as Lincoln $5, series of 1934A Federal Reserve note money circulated. And you have to be careful when you're selling like paper money or coins, or stamps obviously fall into this, but I'm really talking about currency or coins, because people are very particular, those that buy money for an investment or for a collection. You need to know if something is circulated or not. You need to know if there are wrinkles or folds or whatever. Even if you see the writing and it's obvious that there's writing on your bill, still note in your description that there is writing on the bill, because some people might try to return the bill simply because you did not state the words in your description. So this one had, a fold that went, unfortunately, right across behind, right in front of Abraham Lincoln's ear, and then it had a fold going across. And then, as noted, it definitely had lots of wrinkles in it, so I noted that. And this $5 bill sold for $9.95. There was one bid on it, and the shipping and handling was $3.95. And I still mailed it in a larger envelope, first class, because I put it between two pieces of cardboard to make sure it didn't have any additional damage to it, as well as the person paid more than enough for the $2.30 or whatever it was for first class mail versus putting it in a regular envelope with a regular stamp. I just don't like doing that. Plus, if you do that, there is no tracking on it. So you're taking a chance if you go the super cheap way out. So it is better to mail it the way that I did, so that there is tracking on it in case something happens. here we have something that is also a very interesting story. Oh, I could have put that over probably the date and you may have been able to see it, but that's fine. We live and we learn, then we get lost. So this is something that I had previously listed on eBay, and they made me remove the listing because they said that it was considered to be a concealed weapon. I did not agree with that. I spoke to the people at eBay, and I was told, you know, maybe versus noting it as a concealed weapon, as I did before, I need to use, you know, different words, because the blade on this, I believe, is like 1.5 inches. And what it is a vintage automatic Eagle Pencil Company gravity knife, and it's signed. And I also put the word chatelaine in it. Chatelaine. I always say that word wrong. It's a chatelaine, which is an old Victorian word. And what a chatelaine is a lady of the house, for example, would have tiny little scissors, little tiny knives, maybe something for buttons, you know, to pull the buttons through, a button tool. She'd have keys and other tiny little implements that hung from a chain around her neck or around her waist. And that way she did not have to run to wherever to get a small pair of scissors, for example, to repair or do something. And this is back in the day when people had servants, or the whole upstairs, downstairs craze. This particular item was definitely made, I would say, probably in maybe 1910, 1920, so it's not as old as that. But, you know, that's why it has the O-ring on it, and actually has a little thing the O-ring goes through. And what happens is when you push this, I will try to get the picture up there for you guys. The blade actually drops. Oh, there you go. It drops out to a blade. You can see that. So that's your knife. And in order to retract it, all you do is press that button on the end and hold the knife upwards, and the blade will drop back down. So that's why it's called a gravity knife, because it completely and totally works with gravity and the push of that tiny little button. So this was something that we got from, we told you about these folks that were grocers, and they had some sort of like store in Hartford, Connecticut. And we were allowed to go into the house, and the lady was like, take anything you want. We were doing like a semi clean out, using the clean out portion of our company. And she was like, if you don't take it, we're going to just have everything you don't take put into the dumpster. So she was actually not completely hiring us for a clean out. She just like paid us, I think it was like $250 to go in and take things out of the house, because she wanted more of a light clean out, and then her and her relatives were going to do all the heavy work, because we would have charged them probably $2,000 or $3,000 for that. And so she's like, no, you're here, you know, $200, $250, I don't remember the exact amount. You go in there, you take everything you want that you think you could do something with, and some of it we actually donated, and then I sent her in the mail the donation slip so that she could, I think there were like 2 or 3 donation slips, because after we did some research and went through some stuff, we're like, oh, we're not going to be able to sell this, or it doesn't sell for much, or no one cares, or whatever, or the condition was worse than we thought. And so those things were donated, and we gave her that, and she was really thankful, because she never expected us to do that. And then there were a lot of things that were small, like this, that we were able to keep, and over the years we've been reselling. So this little gravity knife, in total inches, it's about maybe 2.5, 3 inches long, and it sold for $29.99. It had one bid on it, and the shipping was $5.65, and in reality we paid like $2 and maybe 30 cents to ship it first class. And that was an item that, if you think about it, someone paid us to take it away with a bunch of other stuff. Our next item is a beautiful, huge, really large crown trifari. I think it was made by Alfred Philippe. And it's, look at the blue. The blue is brilliant on this. It's more impressive in person than even in the photograph. And it had this unusual gold where it was like a lighter gold, and then there was like a darker gold over the top and inside of the leaves. It was signed on the back. And there are different versions of trifari. This trifari has, the reason it's called crown trifari is it has the crown above the word trifari, and it has the copyright or the C in a circle at the end. That means that this is from approximately 1950. So a lot of people who are trifari fans, believe me, they are specialists in this. They know how to date it. They can tell you which and there's like maybe 3 or 4 versions of trifari. Crown being one of the best. And I would say crown is the second best. There's one above crown that is the royal cream of the crop. But crown is second, and then below crown there's like maybe 3 more steps down. And those that are, there's one underneath crown, and then the 2 that are lesser than that really don't have a lot of value. So you should do your research on on trifari in general, so that you know which pieces have more value than others. Because that, if I saw this piece and knowing about crown trifari, I would pay $20 to $25 for it, because I know that the profit on it is going to be much more than that. So this piece, this is another bundling situation. I actually purchased an entire gym bag, and I am not joking. We have so much jewelry, it is insane, and we're still sorting for weeks now. And I'm just slowly, and I do mean crawling, to get rid of this stuff. A lot of it I'm selling to people in our black book. Some on the local market. There's some Facebook groups, and then some, of course, on eBay. And we still have hundreds and hundreds of pieces. But I purchased an entire gym bag of jewelry, which by fault had some gold and silver in it, lots of signed pieces, etc., for $135. And what the lady did is basically took her jewelry drawers out and just started dumping everything into the gym bags. And she already had boxes of jewelry that she was keeping for herself. So this is the stuff she had picked through and she didn't want anymore. And she actually said if we did not buy this jewelry, she didn't want to deal with it anymore, and that it would have been donated. Can you imagine having that much jewelry donated to like a Salvation Army or Goodwill, who, their CEOs are going to get a bigger bonus. Their CEOs' houses will just get larger. Their bonuses will get larger, where their workers will get paid very little. So I would have paid a few $100s, but I asked her how much, and she gave me the price, and I went with it. This one pin sold for $79.99. It had a single bidder on it, and the shipping and handling was $7.95. And I won't keep telling you what we paid for shipping and handling, but you guys by now should know how we ship. And once again, you just have to have patience. It seems like I buy often. I do not buy items often because I buy so many items in bulk. And because, unlike other people, I am okay walking away with nothing. And many, many times I walk away with absolutely nothing. I just want to show you the top of this because the picture is so large. one of the pins is going to get cut off. So here is another situation where I purchased, I believe it was probably, we stopped counting at like 355. We stopped counting. There probably was another 200 Elks Club pins in a lot that we purchased. This lady had a stall for, she said, like 20 some odd years at a flea market in New England that we go to on occasion. And she was going to be shutting down, going out of business forever. And she's like, no one even cares about the Elks Club anymore. And I have all these pins. And I was like, well, let me see what you have. My thought is that I was going to see something where it was like 500,000 of the same exact pin. But there was a large variety of pins. There were barely any duplicates. There were duplicates, but not very many. And this is an entire collection of various battleships from World War II and Pearl Harbor, which was World War II, but some of them distinctly mention Pearl Harbor. And there's a lot of 14 of these pins. That's why I said the pin that's up here you can't see as well. And they all show different battleships. It shows their names, their numbers, etc., etc. And they are all representing the Elks Club. And so I sold this entire, and what I purchased the entire lot of pins for was $30. Once again, I usually ask the person how much they want, and they tell me what they want. When she said $30, I did not even blink. I had no knowledge about Elks Club pins at all, so this is one that was a gamble, I guess you could say, for me. But I figured if I have, 400 or 500 pins, that, there's no way I'm not going to make my $30 back. So we've not only made $30 back, we've made a large profit from selling these pins in various markets, and doing it by interest as well as by the Elks, using Elks Club BPOE. And even some of them will have the Elks Club lodge numbers on them. We'll put that in our description. So sometimes someone's buying something from us just because of subject matter. Some people actually want it because it is representing the Elks, and some want it because it represents their lodge number. So I don't know, it depends on what they're looking for. And some, like in this case, this is a war thing as well as Pearl Harbor is mentioned. So, that's pretty much a given. So this set of pins sold for $39.99 plus $7.95 in shipping and handling. So just by selling this one collection of pins, not only did we make our money back, we also made a profit, and we have sold dozens upon dozens of pins, as well as other Elks things that were in that, because besides the pins, there were other things that were in that collection. Some non-Elks things were in that collection. Some miscellaneous Elks things were in that collection. And my daughter just signaled to me that we actually have probably another 100 pins or these other things. We're not even sure what they are. So we probably ended up with a total, I guess, of 650 items for $30. So never be afraid to try buying a lot if it makes sense. If these were gigantic placards, I probably wouldn't have bought them because of size, and that would be a lot to deal with. So our next item, I don't know if I know we had a Lladro that we showed you guys before. I've had a collection of Lladros. There were, gosh, I want to say in total, there probably was like 6 or 7. And I just I hate dealing in large porcelains, but the amount that you can make it as a profit if you buy low enough is so good. So what I did is, over time, I was like, I don't want to deal with taking like 5 delicate items to the post office at one time. I just sold them off, over time. And quickly, as I listed one, it would sell. Then I'd wait a while, list another, that would sell. This is the end of our Lladro adventure from that lot of Lladros that I purchased. And this is, I put it in as Lladro porcelain Don Quixote standing